Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cinnamon Stitches. I'm not your yarn host today. I am not your yarn host today. I am Jed. I am Jennifer. Call me what you will today. We ain't talking yarn. Only yarn that's going to be in this video is the stuff behind me, but we are not talking about, not thinking about, not concentrating on yarn today. So, can you guess what the subject is today? If you're not into blogs or me talking about life events or personal stuff, go ahead and shut this video off. What is in my Garth Brooks cup? Dr. Pepper. It's Garth Brooks' favorite drink. It's what's getting me through the morning because I'm tired. Now I know you guys were missing my Monday video. Could not make a Monday video. I was exhausted. I'm filming this one on Monday, but you're not going to see it till Tuesday because we got home Sunday. I just sat on the couch and didn't move because I couldn't. Now, if you guys were around last week, you already know why I'm tired. I saw Garth Brooks. Okay, so this video is going to be very long. It's going to have a lot of very personal stories in it. Because I want to talk about Garth Brooks. I want to talk about why Garth Brooks is why I'm so excited, why I'm so happy, why Garth Brooks, okay? We're going to start from the very beginning, and then we're going to end the video, and I'm going to tell you guys all about the concert this weekend, and my date time with Mr. Cinnamon, and all of that. But we're gonna roll it all the way back to 1991. I was 11 years old in 1991. That is when I was, you guys know, if you've been around long enough, you know some of my history. I did not have a very happy childhood. I never felt loved by my parents, but we're not going to get into all that. I was not the favorite child. My other two sisters were absolutely the favorite child. I was kind of like, I don't know, I was always getting into trouble. Partially my own fault. Partially, my parents didn't have their own proper upbringing, so they didn't know what to do with me. None of that really matters, but in the grand scheme of things, in the story, it kind of does matter. So, 1991, 11-year-old child, very opinionated, smarter than most of the people around me. I don't say that as a braggy thing, but I was like Little Man. I was very much like Little Man. I was smarter than the other people around me. Mostly the adults. Garth Brooks was on the scene. Did not care too much for Garth Brooks. I did not like Friends in Low Places. Still to this day, not my favorite song. Friends in Low Places is overrated. I'm just going to say that. A lot of people love it. If you love it, that's fine. Not my favorite song. I think Garth has so much better songs. So, I gotta write something down. I just remembered something I didn't want to forget. So, that's not her name. Shaw. Alright. I got a little note so I don't forget nothing. Country was big on the scene in the late 80s or early 90s. Like, it kind of exploded and became something of its own. And country music has been around forever. There's different types of country music. There's more folky, there's more pop country. I did not like country at 11 years old. I was 11. I wanted to listen to like anything else but country. To me, country was terrible. I could not stand it. And my mom in the early 90s was obsessed with like Billy Ray Cyrus. She thought he was the hottest thing. Ew. She thought he was the hottest thing ever. She loved Alan Jackson. And she would just listen to this god-awful music and back then I was 11, so these opinions are not my opinions anymore. Keep that in mind, I was 11. I hated country music. I liked 80s hair bands. I liked rap. I liked pretty much anything that was mainstream. I just loved it. Could not stand country. R&B. Loved R&B. It's the area I grew up in. Rap and R&B was a very strong music influence. I grew up in Motown. Motown was like it, you know? anything that came out of Motown. So country music was, ooh, it was cringy. Garth Brooks, sometime around when I was 11, he had a concert on NBC, the National Broadcasting Channel. It's our channel. It was Channel 4 in Detroit. And we never had cable growing up. We couldn't afford it. My mom always said all these really strange excuses, like, we can't get cable because the squirrels chew on the lines outside, and so we don't get good cable. And the truth of the matter was, we couldn't afford cable. So we didn't have cable. We had Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 9, which was the Canadian channel, which is where I watched Mr. Dress Up and Today's Special and all those good shows. The Polka Dot Door. We had Channel 20, Channel 50, Channel 56, and Channel 62. That was the extent of our channels on our TV. That was it. And most of the time Channel 20 didn't come in. Most of the time Channel 50 was really scrambly. And yeah, 56 was public broadcasting. It was PBS. My eye is leaking. I used crappy mascara this weekend and my eyes are affected. So anyway, Garth Brooks was doing this big concert on TV, and my mom wanted us all to sit down and watch it. She liked Garth Brooks, but not as much as she liked Alan Jackson and Travis Tritt and Billy Ray Cyrus. Oh my gosh, she had a poster of Billy Ray Cyrus. Which, for your mom to have a poster of a guy on the wall was just really strange to me. I just could not. But my mom was a young mom. I think she had me, she was in her 20s. I don't remember how old she was. I want to say 24, 25, something like that. So, I mean, you know, and then she went through this whole midlife crisis in her 30s. Anyway, she would kill me if she heard me saying this, but luckily she's dead, so it doesn't matter. She doesn't know. So, we're going to sit down. We're going to watch this Garth Brooks concert. And I was like, I don't want to, and I remember complaining about it. I remember going, I don't want to watch Garth Brooks. I can't stand him. Because at that moment, all I had heard is like Friends in Low Places. Ew, I don't want to watch Garth Brooks. Gross. Did not know that night was going to change my life. Entirely. And I know that might sound silly to you, but I promise when I get later to points of the story, you're going to understand exactly what I mean, that Garth Brooks and that night changed my life. So we sat down in front of the TV, and I remember sitting on the carpet. It was a very old carpet. My mom was an obsessive clean freak, so even though the carpet was vacuumed 8,000 times a day, there was still dog hair. We always had dogs. There was still, you know, it was a very old carpet. There's no way we were getting another carpet in that house. And I remember sitting on the carpet and the concert coming on. And I remember this man coming on stage with so much energy, and just the way that he entertained sucked me in. And I just wanted to go to a Garth Brooks concert after that. And we were talking about it for days afterward. He was smashing guitars, which usually was a rocker thing. That like spoke to me, because I was listening to 80s hair bands. I loved rock and roll. I loved like hardcore music. I just love music. I've always loved music. Music is, I sing all day long. Whether I'm in a good mood or a crappy mood, I sing. If you ask my kids, like, I walk around the house and I just randomly sing. I just love music. And Garth Brooks was spraying water bottles while he was singing. And just, I mean, the concert was on fire, literally. It was amazing. So from that moment, I was like, okay, I liked some of it. Friends in Low Places is not my favorite. It's not a bad song. I will sing it when it comes on. It's not my favorite song. It never has been to me. It's just very, I don't know. I also don't like American Bar Association. American Honky Tonk Bar Association, excuse me. No, my favorite song. But like I became hooked at that moment. And I remember, I think I was 13. And the reason I think this, because I had this boyfriend, his name was Jonathan. I pretty much dated him off and on from the time I was 13 until right before I met Mr. Cinnamon. He was basically in my entire life, my entire teenage years. He will come back into the story at some point. We'll get there. I started dating him at 13, and I remember being on the phone with him, and my mom came home from Harmony House. Harmony House was the record store, or we didn't have records at that time, but she brought me home cassette tapes, and she brought me home all of Garth's albums until that moment. So she brought me home Garth Brooks, she brought me home Rope in the Wind, and she brought me home The Chase. And I played them over and over again until I knew every word of every song on those 3 tapes. And the tapes used to come with like the fold out papers with all the lyrics on it. So I knew the words, I would read it while I was singing it, and I would just play it over and over and over again. And that became life to me. That became the soundtrack to my life. There was a song for every occasion or every feeling I was feeling. Back then the Thunder Rolls was it spoke to me. And I would play the Thunder Rolls over and over and over again. And that's not my favorite song to this day. We'll talk about that too. But I would play it over and over again because it spoke to the anger that I had in my heart. And the reason I had the anger in my heart is because I didn't feel like I was ever, like I was not, I hate to say this, I was not treated right as a child. I was not. Mostly because I was loud. I was overly honest. Still in both of those things. And as a child, I was also very energetic. I was Little Man. Not to the degree that Little Man takes everything over the top, but I was Little Man. And I think that's why I understand him so well. And I'm starting to see that maybe like I had some of the same problems he did growing up, but nobody knew what it was or how to deal with it. And so because of that, I wasn't treated very nice. Because nobody wants a little kid being completely honest with them. And I was honest without a filter. So if I saw an injustice, I would tell them whether they were my parents or not. I was what my mother and father both called me mouthy.
Have some chips.
The sour cream and onion chips on the refrigerator.
Yeah.
You can have the rest of those, but then don't eat anything else till breakfast is done. Okay? I need him to eat before he takes his medicine in the morning, or otherwise he won't eat all day. So chips for breakfast, whatever. By the way, not to interrupt Garth Brooks' time, but he has gained weight, so he's doing really good on his medicine. Everything is going good. He's got a doctor's appointment today, as a matter of fact. And for once, I'm not nervous about that. So Garth Brooks became, like I said, the soundtrack to my life. I am probably going to cry through parts of this story because I've been through some stuff. I can feel it coming already. The leaking now is just my eyes, just being my eyes. It's early. I'm so tired still. So, yeah. For everything that had happened in my life in my teenage years, I started to find songs or things relating to Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks became my safe place. When things were bad, I would go into my room, which was not private at all. We had a 5-bedroom house that was shaped kind of like a U. So in the front of the house was the front door, my mom and dad's bedroom, and the living room. And then behind the living room was the kitchen. And going this way was, off the living room was my bedroom. And then you had to go through my bedroom to get to the bathroom. So there was no privacy. My door didn't close. It just couldn't, because we didn't have closets in the house. There was no closets in the house. So we hung all of our clothes on the doors. They had these hangers that opened up, and it was a mess. The house should not have been livable, but we 5 lived in it for 20 years of my life. So there was no privacy. There was no getting away from anything. So I would just go in there and I would turn on Garth Brooks. When I was 17, I was not dating Jonathan anymore. We were on one of those times where we broke up. We never dated for very long. Like, we would date for 2 months and then we would break up. And it wasn't even dating. He would come over. We would kiss once in a while. Like, it was not... I don't know what it was. I kept telling him, I think we keep confusing the friendship because we got along really well. We were clearly attracted to each other. But I think it never should have went beyond friendship with us because we were better off when we were friends. But he was always there. He was always a phone call away. No matter what, he always answered my phone calls. Yeah. We weren't, like I said, we weren't dating. I was 17. He called me up. And he's all, and this is funny. This is kind of stupid story. It's kind of stupid story. Garth Brooks was coming to Detroit for 5 nights. He was going to the Palace of Auburn Hills. And back then, to get tickets, you had to go wait in line overnight. Garth Brooks tried to stop that by saying that even if you were there all night, they still had to draw straws, literally draw straws, to see who would be in what place in line. So you would draw, and each Ticketmaster would do it differently. You would draw a number or draw a straw or draw a piece of paper, and it would tell you your place in line. Well, my mom knew I loved Garth Brooks at this moment for like 5 years now. He was everything to me. I even had a clock on the wall that was shaped like a guitar that was Garth Brooks' face. I had a Garth Brooks watch. It was amazing. I wish I still had these things, but I did not. I don't know what happened to them. When I moved out and I went to live with Mr. Cinnamon, I didn't take it. I wasn't allowed to take anything. I wasn't allowed to take my bed. I wasn't allowed to take... I had my clothes, and I had a bookshelf that I purchased with my own money. And my clothes. I wasn't allowed to take my pillow or my blanket that was on my bed. I was allowed to take nothing. That's another whole story. So, the things that I had growing up just kind of disappeared. Thrown away, I don't know what. Wish I still had those. That would be amazing. But like, my Garth Brooks watch was like a huge face with a leather band, and it was Garth Brooks was on the face. It was amazing. Anyway, so my mom tried to get me Garth Brooks tickets. My aunt, God, this is such a... without telling you all the details of my jacked up family, my mom and my aunt were best friends. Her mother-in-law, my aunt's mother-in-law, and she'd only been married a short time, had asked if I would come and spend the night out in the parking lot with her waiting in line to get Garth Brooks tickets for us. So my mom would pay back the $18.95 plus taxes, which was $24 for a Garth Brooks ticket. Front row or back row did not matter. It was $18.95 plus taxes and Ticketmaster fees. I still remember that. Well, I don't know if I still have it. I had that ticket stub for years. And I think in the moves it got lost. It was in a photo album of my memories. I have no idea where that photo album went. Misplaced over the years. It might be in a box in the garage. I don't know. Stayed out in the parking lot overnight with this much older woman. Just the two of us. And there was all these like young people standing in line. Well, they weren't young to me. I was 17. They were like in their 20s. I was like, these people are so cool. They were partying and having fun in the parking lot. We're sitting there in blankets and chairs. Stayed up all night with her for Ticketmaster to open at 5 a.m. just for us to be third in line to end up like 200th in line because of that stupid pulley system they had. And then we had to line ourselves up according to the number we pulled. We got tickets behind the stage. And I was excited I was going to see Garth. Well, that same day, I got a phone call from Jonathan. Mr. Cinnamon's going to hate that I'm talking about him, but like he is a part of the story. So I got to tell the story. he calls me up and he's all, I got tickets to go see Garth, will you go with me? And I was like, yeah, when is it? Because like I said, he was there 5 nights. It could have been any other night. My sister and her fiance at the time, which she didn't end up marrying that guy, also had tickets, but they had tickets the night before my tickets. Well, it was the same night as the tickets I already had. So I was like, okay, well, I would much rather go with him than to go with old women. So I bailed on them. My mom still had to pay for the ticket, but it was only $20. It wasn't a big deal. And then I went with my ex-boyfriend at the time. Had an amazing time, but I was as far away from the stage as you could get. Like, it was in the arena, the stadium, whatever you call it. We were on the top level, so the 3rd deck, straight out all the way in the back. We were a couple of rows from the ceiling at the Palace of Auburn Hills. So, there's a lot more to that story, but we're going to leave those intimate details out. I ended up back in a relationship with him just to break up with him a couple weeks later because he had a girlfriend already. Why he didn't take his girlfriend to that concert, I have no idea. But we were teenagers, we were stupid. Like I said, we always confused the friendship and made it something that it shouldn't have been from the start. And I didn't see him. Well, I saw him a lot, actually. We went to school together. We were in classes together. But I didn't date him again until right before I met Mr. Cinnamon. And around that time when I met Mr. Cinnamon, Garth had announced that he was going into retirement because of he wanted to stay home and raise his children. But I blamed his wife. I was like, oh, I hate her. Like, she's making him stay home and take care of his children. And in my world, men didn't do that. The men I saw growing up were terrible fathers. My dad wasn't a bad father. My father, what my mom would always say about my dad was he was a good provider. And she would leave it at that. He made sure that we were taken care of financially. He always did a pretty good job of that. There were times he messed up, but he was human. But he was not good on the emotional level of what a dad should be because he didn't have parents. Like, he was treated like disposable and passed around to people growing up. He had a very bad childhood, as did my mother. And as an adult, I understand that, but as a teenager, I did not understand that. So in between the Garth Brooks concert and meeting Mr. Cinnamon, there were 2 really bad years there. And I say that because I ended up in a relationship with a very bad person, and he did not treat me very well. And 6 months in a relationship with this person screwed me up mentally for 2 years. It was bad. I became very, very... I'm going to give you a trigger warning right now. Because I'm going to use some... I'm going to try not to talk in actual terms because, like, it's sensitive, very sensitive subject. Depression. And not wanting to live anymore. We'll say that. There were 3 very serious incidents to where I planned out and tried to not be here anymore. Thank God I did not go through and I was stopped. Because my life is amazing. And had I known that back then, hey, your life is going to be amazing, it wouldn't have been so bad. But I had a really bad 2 years. And through those 2 years, like I said, the music of Garth was what kept me going or gave me some sort of calmness. It was my solace. It was my comfort in the storm. Hang on. Sorry, the oven was beeping. I'm cooking cheesy potatoes for me and the two of the kids because Hermione is at her first day at her lead teacher job. So I had to go check on the potatoes because the timer went off, but they're not done yet. So, I remember exactly where I was. I wasn't gone that long. Those couple years were kind of hard, and still, the music is what, specifically the thunder rolls, is what got me through. The thundering, the anger that built up inside me, it went very well with the thunder rolls. So I listened to it a lot. A lot. To kind of like fast forward over some of those years because they were really hard, and I don't want to talk about them, but they were bad. They were very bad. I was not okay mentally at all it was about 2 years. And then when I started to heal, I started to heal at the point where I realized it was me, that I had to fix my life or no one else was going to do that. So I started to like really work hard, and like I was determined to graduate high school. And it was around that time that the counselor at my high school took one look at me, and he said, you're going to end up in the street in a couple years. You're going to be in the streets. Just because of where I lived. Because I had a pager that I paid for with my job in my pocket. I was going to be on the streets. Because I was wearing overalls, so my pocket was here. And I basically in my head was like, F you. No, I'm not. I was not going to end up like all of my family members. I was not going to end up on drugs. I was not going to end up in the streets. I have uncles that died on the streets. They were homeless because they were so addicted to heroin. They tried to shoot it into their eyeball. I have been raised around the worst of the worst men. Mostly my uncles. I had a couple really good uncles, and I had a couple that were so bad they tainted the whole family. So, with that being said, I'm probably not going to be able to be monetized for this video because we're talking about sensitive subjects. Anyway, to fast forward kind of through that, when Garth Brooks announced his retirement to raise his children, the rumor mills were going crazy. They were like, oh yeah, he's retired because his wife demands that he's retiring. And then she ended up divorcing him anyway soon after that. So I was like, oh, I hate her. And I blamed her for him retiring because I didn't understand the concept of a man loving his children so much. He would sacrifice that lifestyle, that he was on the top of the world to raise his children. I could not imagine that. Because there was no way any man I've ever seen growing up would do that. They wouldn't. They just wouldn't. My own dad included in that. He would not have he didn't sacrifice basketball to stay home. Or not basketball. He did play basketball. He also played baseball. He bowled. He did lots of things out of the house. Very little things with us. Because like I said, he didn't know how to be a father because he's never seen a father. I understand that as an adult, but as a child, my dad don't love me. My dad hates me. My dad, you know. Kids have a way of blaming themselves. Mr. Cinnamon came along, my whole life changed. But still, like, Garth Brooks was always there. I'm always listening to Garth Brooks. I used to, during my teenage years, I would stay up and listen to the radio to record his interviews. Like, if he comes into town, he still does this. When he comes into town for a concert, he does interviews for radio. He does interviews for the local TV stations to promote the concert, whatever. And he would sometimes do radio interviews that would get released across the country for if he had a new album release. Like, I recorded one interview in particular. He was talking about the song The Beaches of Cheyenne. And he was talking about how it was so funny to him because there's no beaches in Cheyenne. So he just thought it was the funniest. He thought it was the funniest thing ever. And when you listen to the song is not funny. She literally she was so brokenhearted she threw herself into the ocean. So it's a sad song, but he thought it was hilarious, and I still remember because I listened to the interview 100 times over again. And that was the last of my Dr. Pepper and my Garth Brooks cup. I wanted to get a new one of these at the concert because this one has seen better days. Like, I use the heck out of it. I use this more than my Cinnamon Stitches cups. And they didn't have any. They don't sell these anymore. Even on the website, they have the camp mugs, which are like metal tin cups. And I wanted to buy one at the concert, but they don't sell them they didn't have them at the concert, so I got myself a tour shirt. Stadium tour. And the back of the shirt is kind of cute. I know, we'll go back to story time in a minute. I got friends in stadiums. I have I think 3 shirts now. So, yeah, Garth has always been in the background, and through the really bad times when I was a teenager, he was it. And the crazy thing is like, I learned a lot from the music and from his interviews and from the way he lived his life. Like, it started to form things in my head that I should have been taught as a child. And I actually made a list because I wanted to remember. So this part, we're going to call this Lessons I Learned from Garth Brooks. Number 1, daddies should love their kids. And I learned this because he did quit his job to raise his 3 girls. And yeah, I was angry about it. I was upset. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, who is going to be there to support me? Like, I need that music coming in. I need something to look forward to. So when he retired, I was devastated because as a teenager who found comfort and solace in that, and it was taken away, I was upset. And I know that's stupid because I don't know the man personally. But when you're a teenager, like, it becomes something more than what it actually is. Like, you start to, like, you wish you could run away with Garth Brooks. You know, when you're a teenager, you're stupid. You imagine all these things. Garth Brooks is going to come and rescue you. I didn't actually think that one. But, you know, that kind of thing. Because when you're a teenager, you know, that's what you do. Like my girls, for example, they're going to live together. They're going to move in together, and my niece is going to do all the cooking or the cleaning, and Juju's going to do all the cooking because that's what they excel in. And they think they're going to live this great life. They're going to split the bills and all that. And I let them think that, but at the same time, like, that's teenager thinking, and there's no way that's ever going to work out because they don't get along well enough for that to be a successful relationship. And then they're going to resent each other for the roles that they put themselves into because I don't want to do all the cooking. Why can't she cook once in a while? Or, God, she's such a slob. I wish she would pick up after herself. I'm tired of picking up after her. We know that in reality, that is how life works. And but teenagers, you know, you fantasize about what your life is going to be like when you're an adult. Because of that lesson of him sacrificing his career, this amazing career that he was on, to walk away and raise his children, that impacted me in a way I didn't expect. I realized that what I had with my dad was not what I wanted, and I was scared of my dad. I was scared of my dad for many, many years, and I had a lot of hatred towards him for the way he made me feel about myself. He hated that I was fat. He hated that I was mouthy. He wanted me to be like my older sister. Thank God I'm not. My older sister's not someone I ever want to be. But I was always compared to her. Like, why can't you be like more like her? I was going to say her name. I'm not going to say her name. Why can't you be more like her? She's skinny. She's pretty. She looks like your mom. She's so quiet. She doesn't mouth off. She obeys. She does it. Well, quiet women do not raise up to be powerful, successful women. And I didn't want that for my life. I didn't want to be the quiet one. No. So because of that lesson, and I learned and I saw a man love his children enough to sacrifice, that impacted me, and I demanded more out of my father from that time on. Demanded more. And if I didn't get that from him, he could not be a part of my life, and he could not be a part of my children's life. And we did fight through that. We fought through that because I don't know if he didn't understand that he wasn't that great of a dad, or he was in denial. He was in denial about a lot of things in his life, and I kind of put it in his face. It was like, see, look at this. This is not okay. So, something that man did, Garth Brooks did, impacted me enough to say, hey, I want to change this in my life. And when my dad died, we still had a lot of issues, but he was also one of my best friends because I demanded that he treat me better. And he followed in line. There's a lot more to the dad story, but like that is a very impactful moment. That is a pivotal moment that occurred in my life. And I know Garth Brooks is not a god, but he has been a part of my life for so long. Just as an influence, because he's been in the world, he has changed things in my life by showing from example or from giving lyrics to a song that was impactful to me. Not the man personally, but just things he did, you know. I hope this does not sound like I'm a crazy super fan stalker. I'm not at all. Like, I'm not. But these are things that like kind of flipped the switch in my life. Number 2. This one's a big one. My mom did raise me to be, even though she called me the B word a lot, if a man called me the B word, that was unacceptable to her. So she did drill that into my head that I should make people treat me better, especially after the abusive relationship that I experienced that screwed me up so bad. But as an example of the way Garth Brooks has treated Trisha Yearwood, I started to see, like, he would carry her shoes if her feet were hurting. He always calls her the queen. Like, he puts his wife on this pedestal, and I'm like, hey, I see that. I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I want. So that was another life lesson I learned from Garth Brooks. I want a husband that does that. And I think I've done pretty well for myself, if I do say so myself. Now, Mr. Cinnamon is not a perfect man, but he thinks I am a perfect woman. Like the song In Another's Eyes from Garth Brooks, okay? In Another's Eyes, I can't see that picture perfect painting that they paint of me. They don't realize, and I pray they never do. Oh God, what is the rest of the lyrics? Anyway, In Another's Eyes. It's basically, the song is about, and it's Trisha and Garth sing it together. I am a hugely faulted person, but they don't see that. Mr. Cinnamon, he does see that I'm not perfect. He does. He has seen me at my worst. He absolutely just, I am like the queen to him. He still looks at me and tells me, and I'm fat. I have days where I look god awful. I know this. I have mirrors. There's a big giant mirror. That whole wall's a mirror. I know that there are days I look terrible. And he, no matter what, looks at me with love in his eyes and tells me I'm beautiful. I'm gorgeous. I'm sexy. All the time. All the time. That man does not let me live a day without telling me that I am valued in one way or another. His entire life is based on how he can make me and my kids happy. I say our kids. How he can make our lives happy. He is an amazing man. And I didn't accept less than what he gives me because, hello, Garth Brooks. I saw what I wanted, And I was like, I deserve that. I deserve that. Now, having the upbringing that I had, I should not feel that way, because I was not ever treated that way as a child. I was not special. I was a pain in the neck. That's all I heard all the time. Like, be quiet. Why are you so loud? Go outside. I was constantly being pushed away. Go away, go away. You're loud, you're annoying, you're obnoxious, you're too honest, you're too bold, you're too blunt, I was too everything. I was just too alive. It was too much. So, that's another lesson. Lesson number 3. This is a basic life lesson. Everyone should know this. Love one another. Garth Brooks has been saying that for years. Now Trisha Yearwood is saying it at the concerts. Love one another. Love one another. He has a plaque on his wall. Love one another. He says that at the end of every interview. Like every Monday night he does Inside Studio G. He comes on Facebook. He talks. And he says the most poignant things. He is the most down-to-earth, common-sense person when he's being interviewed. He just seems like a good old boy. You know? He's just a good old boy. He's like raised. He was not, but he seems like one of those guys that's just raised on the farm. He just likes horses and cowgirls, and you know, he's just a good old boy. Real basic. Doesn't let a whole lot bother him. That's just the way he comes across. I mean, I don't know the man in person. He could be a terrible person. I don't think he is, though. Nobody's ever really said bad things about Garth Brooks. So yeah, love one another. That is an amazing lesson, and one we should all know. Now I'm going to, because this next one kind of leads into love one another, I'm going to read something. When this song was released, it was huge. It was huge, and it actually came back a couple of years ago, and it made another play on the radio because the message was what people needed to hear right then and there. And I do not go on this channel, and I don't speak about current events because like this is not the place for that. This is a place to come and just have fun and just whatever. And I don't like 2 things my daddy told me. This is one lesson I learned from my dad. 2 things you never talk about with other people is politics and religion, because it causes an argument. Like people, they get so dug into their beliefs that they can't see that there might be something else. Like my belief, because you believe it so deep in your soul, in your heart, whatever, that there's no way anyone else could be right. Because that's not what you believe. So they don't want to listen. They don't want to talk. They don't want to hear the other person's opinion because, oh, you're trying to change my mind. Or there are some people who will argue until they change your mind, or until it blows up because they feel that they are so right that there's no other way. And so my dad always said, don't talk politics and don't talk religion, because those are very personal to people. And I do not. I'm not a big politics girl anyway. I think a lot of it is a waste of time and energy to be so dug into something like that. Mr. Cinnamon specifically has family members that are just so stuck in their beliefs that they actually will scream at each other. And it makes me sick to my stomach to watch this, because you should not fight with your family because you guys don't feel the same way on a subject that's so ridiculous to me. It is okay to have, and I say this on this channel all the time, it is okay to have different opinions. You don't need to argue. You don't need to change anybody's mind. Anyway, so this song in particular, it drives this lesson home, and I'm going to read it. You guys all know the song, We Shall Be Free. I know that you've heard it a million times, but there are lines in the song that just everyone should just listen to. Everyone should just take a moment and just like understand what he's trying to say. All right. When we're free to love anyone we choose, when this world's big enough for all different views, then, and only then, oh, I forgot one. When we're all free to worship from our own kind of pew, then we shall be free. Only then will we be free. Yeah. He tells you to have a little faith and hold out. And then he says, when there's only one race, and that's mankind, we shall be free. I mean, there's a lot more to the song. And the last thing we notice the color of skin, and the first thing we look for is the beauty within. That's a Dr. Martin Luther King quote all day long, if I ever heard one. I think all of the lessons in that song are vital. And I think because we're not there yet as a human culture, I think that's a big part of the world and I tell the girls this all the time, because they want to categorize themselves. They want to, I'm this, and I'm that. And like, they put themselves into boxes. Whether it's your political stance, whether you're Republican, whether you're Democrat, whether you're something else, you're putting yourself into a box and you're limiting yourself to the world. Whether you're limiting yourself by your race. I identify as a white person, or like, it's okay to have pride in oneself, but to categorize yourself because of the color of your skin, or to categorize other people because of the color, I don't want that. And so I'm trying very hard to instill in them to not put themselves in boxes. I don't want to be put in a box. I don't want to be labeled as anything. I don't want to be labeled as, I believe only this, because there is so much more in this world that you can learn from listening to other people's opinions and viewpoints. Because our views are the way we see the world is based on what we have seen in the past. Our views and our opinions and our beliefs are based on what we have seen and what we have been taught by people. So if you close your mind off to just that, what your parents taught you, or you were raised to believe this religion, you were only this is right because this is what I was taught, you're closing your mind to the possibilities of so much in the world. You're closing your mind off by categorizing yourself, whether it be religion, whether it be political views. If you're categorizing yourself based on the color of your skin, you gotta stop. You gotta be open to other things. You gotta be, that's true freedom, is not being in a jail cell of thought. Just open your mind. And so that's why I really like that song, We Shall Be Free, because it's full of lessons of life, of how to truly free yourselves and to make the world a better place, is to stop categorizing ourselves. Stop categorizing other people. Stop locking your thoughts and your beliefs into a box and limiting it to that. There's so much more in this world to just see and experience once you get past those barriers, those jail cells of thought. I know, I'm getting way like, oh, let's light some incense and candles. I don't know, it's something I've learned over life, is just to not, I don't want to be in a box. I don't want to be in a box. And then past that, The River. The song The River from Garth Brooks. It was so meaningful to me growing up, and I never understood why, but the first time I heard that song, it was very impactful, and I didn't understand what the song meant even then. I didn't understand what it meant. And over time, growing up, I've learned the lyric, well, I've interpreted the lyrics to what I believe that they mean, or what they mean to me. And that's the beauty of music, is, and books even. Books, the same thing. Like, you can read the same passage and it means something different to me than it does to you. Same thing with songs. When I was a teenager, I had a folder for class, and on the folder, I wrote the lyrics. Every word I had memorized from The River. And I didn't understand the words back then like the way I understand them now. But it still meant something to me that I didn't understand, but the song was so... Even with the thunder rolls being pretty much my anthem for my teenage years because of the thunder that rolled in my heart, The River was the opposite of it. The River was something different to me. And I didn't understand it then. I understand it now. But back then I didn't. But it still was so powerful to me. And then fast forward to the past couple years with Little Man. I started singing it to him at bedtime. Because he started to, if you sing to me, I'll go to sleep. And it works. It's something that calms him down enough that he feels safe enough to go to sleep. And So I started singing The River, which is not a short song. I mean, it's not super long, but it's a pretty long bedtime song. And I had to like gradually wean him off of getting that specific song sung to him. I started singing littler songs, shorter songs. Silent Night has always worked. I have always sang Silent Night to all of my kids, and it calms them down and it gets them to sleep, and I don't know why. It's just a peaceful song. So doesn't matter time of the year, Silent Night works. Lucas started letting me sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Take me out to the ballpark. My dad used to sing that to us when we were little. He loved all sports. But for a while there, it was The River or Nothing. I had to sing The River to him. The song touches him in a way he doesn't understand either. I don't know what it is about the song, but it calms him. He loves that song. And growing up now, having experienced life, I understand the lyrics a little more, what they mean to me anyway. To me, The River is about not ever giving up. To live your life to your fullest. At least that's the way I interpret it. I'm going to sail my vessel till the river runs dry. I'm going to keep doing. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to give it my all until the river runs dry, till the end. Till the end. I'm just going to keep pushing. And that's what it means to me now. As a child, I didn't even understand what the song was about. But as an adult, like, that's how I interpret it. It is my anthem to never quit. And I think that's why it was impactful then. I didn't understand it, but like something in me was keep going. Keep pushing until the river runs dry. Never quit. And that's how I am with everything in my life. That is at the soul of it, who I am. Like with this channel, I give it everything I got. I give you guys everything I got. I keep on going. I keep on pushing just because it's who I am. And with everything, like, I don't quit. If I hate a crochet project, I do not put that crochet project down till it's done, because I'm going to sail that river till it runs dry, or I run out of yarn, or, you know, that's just who I am. I don't quit. I'm not a quitter. And so I think in the basic essence of the song, it's just about living. It's about life. It's about pushing and keep going until there's nothing left. And I think that's not a bad way to live. Now, speaking of that, let's get to the concert, because now I'm going to flip it. We're going to talk about the concert. We talked about all of my history with Garth. We talked about a lot of the hard times. The writer of The River is Victoria Shaw. She co-wrote it with Garth Brooks, but he gives her 100% of the credit. Victoria Shaw's amazing songwriter, and she was at the concert, and it was so cool because I was on the floor. I was almost at the stage. She was up in the stands. He knew exactly where she was, and he called her out, and he's all right, guys. And to me, to have the songwriter of that song be in the audience, like, I sang the heck out of that song. He's all, let's really show her what this song means to us. And when The River comes on in the concert, you turn on your flashlight. Like, you know, back in the day, we used to have, you would bring a lighter even if you didn't smoke to the concert. But now it's like you light your little light and you do your phone and you sing at the concert, because that's what they do now. No more dangerous lighters catching people's hair on fire, because I've seen that happen. My first Garth Brooks concert, the guy I went with that we talked about earlier, he actually tried to light the girl's hair on fire in front of us because he was A, stupid teenager, and B, they were really obnoxiously excited to be at Garth Brooks, and he just did not, I don't know, something about them rubbed him the wrong way. And I actually had to smack him because he flicked his lighter at their hair. And I know what happens after that. I have seen people go up in flames. I've seen it happen. My mom was a smoker. She leaned over the stove to light her cigarette, and whew, we don't play with fire. So anyway, I have been to, like I said, I've been to a couple of Garth concerts. I saw Garth at the Palace of Auburn Hills, which was technically in Detroit, even though it's in Auburn Hills, Michigan. It's considered a Detroit thing. When I was 17, I didn't see Garth again until, I want to say 2018. I saw him in Richmond, Virginia. I took Juju. that was a particularly strange kind of thing. I actually cried because I wanted to go with Mr. Cinnamon. And he had never been to a concert. He was not interested in going to a concert. And I wanted to be able to afford to take them both. Because, like I said, the first concert, I kind of lost a valuable asset to who I am at that night, if you get what I'm saying. I got wrapped up in emotions and feelings, and this boyfriend that I'd cared about took me to see Garth Brooks, who I was in love with, and I made a mistake. I'll say that. And so, like, part of me, like, the mentality was like, I want to redo this with the man that I love, the man that I'm, you know, Mr. Cinnamon was everything to me. I wanted to redo the Garth experience with him because I wish it had been him all along. I wish he was the only man that had ever been in my life. So I actually cried about that, and Mr. Cinnamon thought it. He was like, he didn't understand. He's like, what? I was like, I wish I could redo that, and it'd be you in that position. So I took Juju. We had a good time. It was her first concert. It was a really good time. But you know, I wanted to be with Mr. Cinnamon too. You know. And then I saw him in Detroit again with I took Paprika. I was like, he's coming to Detroit. I will travel to Detroit to see Garth Brooks. And this time we saw him actually in Detroit. He played Ford Field, which is where the Lions play. And that was a good time too. So this time we had tickets. And this concert, Mr. Cinnamon bought me tickets to see him, I think, in Baltimore. And we were supposed to go last year, I think. And COVID was still a big deal, and we had third row tickets. Third row tickets. That's close enough to get sweat on. And I was so excited. He bought them for our anniversary. It was either our 20th anniversary of being together, or it was our 18th wedding anniversary. I don't remember which anniversary. I think it was our 18th wedding anniversary. It was my gift. It was all he bought me. They were expensive tickets. And a couple weeks later, the show got canceled because of the COVID outbreak was like ramping up again. And I was so crushed. I was just so beyond crushed. And I looked at him, I said, well, now you got to buy me something else because now I don't have an anniversary gift. And our anniversary is also on my birthday. It's August 9th. It's the same day. So, yeah, I got married on my birthday. My gift was Mr. Cinnamon. I was like, now you got to buy me something else because now I don't even have an anniversary gift. I was really crushed by that. I was like, his concert is winding down. He's getting ready to go over to Ireland. There's only, I think, 3 shows left where he's going to actually be in the United States. And I knew, like, I didn't have any more chances to see him. And then he announced he was coming to Charlotte, North Carolina. And that's like a 5-hour drive from where I live. So I was like, oh, we got to get tickets. We got to get tickets. And Mr. Cinnamon is very good at getting good tickets. I don't know how he does it, but he is very good at getting us towards the front. So this time we were actually 6th row, which is a downgrade, but it really wasn't at all. Garth Brooks has a round stage. It's actually shaped almost like an eyeball. And I'll draw this out for you guys. The concert was pretty awesome. I'm going to put clips in. I know this is a long, boring video for some of you, but trust me. The stage is kind of shaped kind of like this, okay? There are seats all the way around the stage. He plays the entire stage. He runs around in circles on the edge of all, so everyone can see him. And he performs at the 4 points. So there's a performance spot there, here, here, and here. And there's actually part of the stage that comes out like this. And then there's 2 rows of front row tickets here. I know I'm drawing in the camera, so it's terrible. But there's 2 rows here, and then 2 rows here. And then it breaks off in the back of the stage into like this sections. And then here, there's seats going this way and then seats going this way. We were 6th row in this section, so our seats were like right here. So technically it was like 3rd and a half row, because even though our seats are facing this way, which is the front of the stage, so we had perfect line of view of him here, there was also right here, directly across from where we were sitting, that little part that comes out, and he would stand right there and sing. So it was like 3rd and a half row. We were just facing this way instead of facing at the stage. So Mr. Cinnamon like nailed those tickets, and I was like, all right, they're on the side of the stage. We're going to get part of the concert. Like, it wasn't 3rd row right in the front. Well, when we got there to the stadium last night, I was like, holy crap, we are so close to the stage. There was only 2 rows separating us. Now, granted, we were in the middle of the aisle, so there were still people on the side of us. But, like, we were so close to the stage, and I was, like, so excited. Now, Mr. Cinnamon and I have not been away for an entire weekend since before little man was born. We went for our 10th wedding anniversary. We went to Charlottesville, Virginia. And we had the weekend away, and we went to Montpelier? No. One of the president's houses that's out there. I can't remember. It's not Montpelier. Whatever it is. We went there and we had the weekend to ourselves. We had a nice romantic weekend. We went and ate sushi, and, you know, we just enjoyed each other's company. We have not done that since before the little man has been born. Let's see. I think Juju was like 7. And the girls were 7 and 9. So my 2 nieces were living here at the time. So we have not been away, just the 2 of us, in many years. So at least 10 years. This was the past couple weeks though. We drove to Michigan, spent the night, drove home with my sister and the kids, and then we drove them home, stayed the night, and then drove back home the next day. Not exactly what you would call a romantic weekend getaway. It was a lot of stress and a lot of driving and a lot of just, you know, but it was still kind of weird being away from the kids for like that. So yeah, this weekend was special because it had been a very long time since it had just been the 2 of us for the entire weekend. We left Friday. We drove down. We made a couple of stops. I wanted to stop at Reconsidered Goods in, I think it's in Greensboro, North Carolina. And then I wanted to try a new store, Pop Shelf, that is like sweeping the southeast states. But it's not quite to Virginia yet. The closest one is in North Carolina. So we wanted to stop at Pop Shelf. I wanted to try the store. It didn't have what I expected it to have. Like, there was all these videos on all these amazing craft supplies. They barely had anything enough that I didn't really buy anything, except I bought a cool pen. Actually, I bought 2 ink pens. I bought this blue pen too. And I bought this cute little notebook. This is Lists. It's got little check marks on it, only to realize I already have a notepad like that with checks on it from Hobie. Didn't realize that. This one's hardcover though. So now I have 2 Lists thing. Which I just discovered this morning. I was like, I just wasted $3 on that stupid book when I already had a notepad like that. Because I was like, oh, it's so cool. It's got check marks. So anyway, we get to the hotel. He had researched ahead of time, and he had planned for us to eat at gluten-friendly restaurants. I told you guys last week, my stomach has been acting up since the last time we went to Michigan. It was another gluten-friendly restaurant that made me sick, and I had been sick ever since. And I've been just having so many stomach issues and just not feeling well. And somewhere along the way, I believe that I got gluten, or I ate something that made me just not feel well. And so it's like I've been having a lot of just not feeling well the past week. And so I was like, okay, well, these restaurants swear that they're gluten-friendly, that like you can eat there, and they're knowledgeable, and they advertise this. Okay? So So the first night we went to a Brazilian steakhouse type thing, which should be safe because it's meat mostly. And then they have a salad bar, and like, I gotta be careful with buffets because cross-contamination. Like when people use buffets, they don't think when they're using them tweezers and then they grab for something else that the tweezers aren't meant for, that they're actually contaminating the next food for somebody who possibly has an allergy to food. And so I have to be really careful with buffets or anything that is self-service because of that. Because people don't realize that you can make someone really sick just by using the tongs on the wrong thing. Okay? So there's that. And then the waiters, the way that a Brazilian steakhouse works is they bring the meat to your table, they slice off a piece, and they put it on your plate. Okay? And here's where you can be cross-contaminated as well. I have my own tweezers, yes. This is not tweezers. You grab the tweezers off the meat and you put it on your own plate while they're cutting it. Okay, but people at the other table, I don't know what their tweezers have touched, and they're touching the same meat. They're not supposed to actually touch the meat that's on the stick, just the piece that's being sliced off. And so maybe that causes cross-contamination as well. I don't know. I just know that I was careful with what I ingested. The waiters were circling, so we had several waiters working at our table, as well as what they were calling the gauchos, because they were wearing gaucho pants. They were dressed very gaucho-esque. They had their swords, and they were... But the waiters, we asked them several times about some of the things, and I was getting so many different opinions on what had gluten in it and what did not, and then the manager had something totally different to say than the waiters. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just staying away from that altogether because I'm not chancing it. I was trying to be very careful, and I still ended up not feeling well after I ate there. Like, I just did not feel good. And I was like, something I ate is not... My system is rejecting it. It's not happening. So I felt sick all that night after we ate. And the next morning I felt okay. I ate hotel breakfast, just eggs and bacon because it's the only thing that was safe. And... that I felt fine eating that. And then the next night we went to, and this was the night of the concert, we went to this chicken place that's supposed to have gluten-free chicken, and they're very careful with how they prepare gluten-free chicken, and like it was hot chicken, and the chicken was good. I got so sick from it. My stomach just hurt like I had been stabbed 100 times in my stomach. It was so painful. And I don't think it was the gluten, but I also cannot eat onions or garlic. Like my system, there are some foods, I cannot eat cauliflower, I cannot eat radishes, I cannot eat, I have a list of foods that make me sick. Okay. So something in their spice mix made me just so sick to my stomach. So we went to the Garth Brooks concert. I was so sick to my stomach. I got a big, giant, tall glass of Sprite, which my rule is at a concert, I don't drink anything because I don't want to have to get up and leave the concert to go stand in line in the bathroom and possibly miss something in a concert. So I don't drink at concerts. I don't eat at concerts because it's not safe for me to eat there. But like, I have rules. And I downed this soda trying to just stay hydrated, calm my stomach down. I was on the verge of just losing everything. Like, I was not feeling well. And on top of that, before the concert started, it was raining and thundering and lightning, and the stadium was an open air stadium, so there's no roof, and they won't let you in if there's been lightning within 8 miles within the past 30 minutes. So all the odds were stacked against us for this concert. Mr. Cinnamon Whiz started storming. He was like, oh God, they're gonna cancel. He started to freak out because he didn't want them to cancel the second Garth Brooks concert because I would have been devastated. And I was watching the clouds, and my grandfather, he just had a lot of like almanac type knowledge, okay? Like, he just knew stuff. And so he would teach us to watch the clouds, watch the pattern of the clouds. He would teach us about silverleaf maples. If the silverleaf maples were flipped over, it was going to rain because the leaves flip over when it rains. And so the tree will look like a silvery tone to it. Like, he gave us a lot. I know about weather. I used to sit on the porch when I was a little girl. Didn't matter if it was a tornado warning. I would sit on the couch and watch, the porch. We had a big, giant porch. It wasn't giant. it was big compared to the house because the house was small, but compared to like, it was half the size of my porch now. We would sit out there and just watch the storms roll in. We would wait for the thunder rolls. So I was watching, I was like, it's going to be fine. And I was watching the pattern of the clouds, and I was watching the storm, and we're surrounded by skyscrapers, you know, and I'm watching, I was like, it's going to be fine. It's not going to rain tonight. And Mr. Cinnamon was still freaking out. I was like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And there was a little patch of blue. I was like, if there's a patch of blue, it's not going to rain all day. Because usually if it's going to rain all day, it is just like a gray cloud cover. And it was not that at all. It was clouds, you know. So I was like, we're going to be fine. And he was still worried. And he actually got us our first Uber. We have never taken an Uber to take us to the stadium, because the stadium was like 10 blocks away. And he got us a fancy one. It was called Uber Black. So it was a upscale. It was a Yukon, but it was really nice, black, tinted windows, nice leather seats. We paid for the Uber to go down to the stadium. And when we got there, it started sprinkling, and he was worried. You know, he's watching the weather on his phone. I was like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And because it had just stormed, they didn't have time to do sound check. So that delayed us going in the doors. They were supposed to open doors at 5. We didn't go until almost like 5:45. And went straight to merch, because I know this is a rookie move, or not a rookie. It's an amateur thing to not get your merch before the concert, because when people start piling in, those lines get really long. We didn't even wait in a line, because we were like at the front of the line to get into the stadium, because we were there early. We're at the front of the line to get beverages, so we got soda, and then we were at the front of the line for the merch counter, and I already looked online what was available, so I knew what I wanted. So I bought me and the 2 girls this exact shirt. And then I bought Little Man a baseball cap, because I've never bought them merch from a concert. And I was like, you know, we went away for the weekend, I'm gonna bring them stuff. And I bought myself a magnet for the refrigerator, and I bought myself, and I didn't bring it in here, I bought myself a clear plastic Garth Brooks tote bag. I didn't buy Mr. Cinnamon's shirt because the 3X is as large as they go, and I barely fit the 3X, and he's bigger than me. He's not going to fit a 3X. But I would have bought him a shirt gladly if they had a bigger size. But, you know. And it was Mr. Cinnamon's first concert in life ever. It was so exciting. And I told him, I teased him a lot. I was like, okay, first of all, like, there are so many husbands that go to the concerts and they just stand like this because they don't know what to do, or they're uncomfortable, or maybe they don't like Garth Brooks. Like, I've seen it at every concert I've ever been to. Keith Urban, Garth Brooks, Panic at the Disco, doesn't matter. There's always dudes that stand like this. And I told him, I told my sister, I told Juju, everyone I've been to a concert with, I said, this is what I anticipate Mr. Cinnamon doing at a concert. Because I don't think, he's never been, he's not, he rarely dances. He doesn't sing when I'm in the car with him. He just listens to me serenade him. Because like I said, I always sing. And so I teased him about that. He's all, I'm not going to do that. You're going to see. I'm not going to do that. And he did not. He did not. He sang. And which is very, this is not Mr. Cinnamon. He's very just chill. He just will sit back and observe. He's not, he danced, he cheered, he like did all the things you're supposed to do at the right times. Like he was like, yeah! He doesn't do that. It was awesome. It was awesome. And because I had never been to a concert with Mr. Cinnamon, we had moments at the concert that I will never forget. I will never, it was so special to me because Garth Brooks has meant so much to me over the years. He's been a constant soundtrack to my life. Like I said, I've learned a lot of life lessons from the man. The interviews that I've listened to, the way he lives his life, and the music has taught me a lot about life. A lot about who I want to be and what I want from my life. In silly and obscure ways, but like to other people they might not understand, but to me it was very meaningful. And having Mr. Cinnamon there with me dancing with me, putting his arms around me, letting me sing to him. And on the drive down, we were listening to Garth Brooks the whole way. And She's Every Woman came on the radio. And he said, you know, I was listening to this song the other day, and the song is you. And like, what? Because I don't think he's ever said that about a song. Like, he has songs that are meaningful to him. Like, if I don't remember the name of the song, there's like 2 or 3 country songs that are about a father and a daughter. He will cry when those songs come on because he loves his children. He loves his children endlessly. He's a really good father. And so he said those kind of things over the years, like, this makes me think of Juju or whatever, but not really so much me. He'll sing certain songs to me, but he's never said that about a song. And for it to be a Garth Brooks song, I was like, holy shit. Like, it was so impactful. And She's Every Woman to have him dedicate that to me was just, it meant so much to me. And so Garth doesn't always sing that at his concert. He does not. I don't think I've ever heard him sing it live, because at the 3 concerts I've been to before this, I never heard it. And that's not to say he doesn't. It's just at my concerts, he did not sing that song. And so when he started to sing it, Mr. Cinnamon put his arms around me, and I turned around and I started laughing because I was listening to the lyrics. It talks about when she's mad, you best leave her alone. I turned around, I started laughing at that part. Because she'll rage just like a river, and then she'll beg you to forgive her. That's me. Like, when I'm mad, and I'm very loud when I'm mad, and I do have a little bit of a temper, just real talk, and I'm a little bit crazy sometimes, and so that made me laugh. And then, like, you know, She's Everything I Want to Do Again is part of the lyric. Like, the song is just, for him to think that that's me, and then to have his arms around me and dancing with me while Garth Brooks is on stage singing, it was like top 10 moments of my entire life. Hands down, top 10 moments of my entire life. Just having Mr. Cinnamon there with me was like so good. It was so good. It was his first concert ever, and like, it was a really, really good time. But something weird happened at the concert that I've never experienced at a concert before. Like, usually, yeah, I'm really excited that the person that is doing the concert is on stage. Like, I like concerts. It felt so good to be at a concert after the pandemic and everything, and just to be singing with 40,000 people is so amazing to me. And Garth comes on stage. He is 50 some years old, and he's a little slower than he used to be, but he still performs like he did when I was 17 years old. He's still running on the stage and jumping on the stage, which I'm thinking that poor man's knees have got to hurt. He still is just so good. But when he came on the stage this time, and he was right there, and it felt like it had been so long since I've been at a concert, and he was right there. It felt so surreal to me, and I'd never experienced that at a concert before. I was like, oh my God, he is right there. Like, usually it's like, yeah, that's cool, I'm in the same room with somebody I really like and admire. But this time it was like, he is right there. He's right there. Like, if I wanted to, I could reach out and touch his boot. I mean, I wasn't going to try to fight security to get to the stage, because, like, they only let you past a certain point. But if I wanted to, I could touch his boot. He's right. It was so cool. It was so cool. And there are times where he will look you straight in your eyes, because he tries to interact with all 40,000 people in that arena stadium. He tries to interact with you. He tries to make every person in that stadium feel special, and he does a very good job at that. And if you've never seen Garth Brooks, I mean, put it on your bucket list. It is so worth it. It is so worth it. Also, another cool thing that happened is Mitch Rossell, I don't know how to say his last name. It's Rossel, Russell. I don't know how he says it. I've seen him before. I saw him in Detroit with my sister. I love him. He's a really good songwriter. He is a good enough songwriter that Garth wants him on tour with him, and that Garth uses some of his songs. He, what song did he sing? He wrote a song, and I can't think of the name of the song. He wrote a song that Garth Brooks actually used. Let me pause and look that up. Alright, the song Ask Me How I Know was actually written by Mitch Rossell, whatever you say his name. He wrote it. He performed it at a Garth Brooks concert, I believe. And Garth was like, I want that song. And so Garth cut it. And it's a really good song. And it just... When I first met Mr. Cinnamon, and this is another reason this song is personal to me, is when I first met Mr. Cinnamon, he had a lot of the same experiences as I had growing up, but his experience made him guarded and pushed people away when he felt like they were getting too close. And we experienced a lot of that in the beginning years of our relationship, where it almost felt like he was keeping me at a distance to protect himself. And Ask Me How I Know is kind of like that, where like, how did she get to me? How did she get beyond my barriers? And then he pushes her away, and then she leaves. And you don't ask her not to leave because you're too stupid. Like, you're too stubborn. Ask Me How I Know. That's the basis of the song. So I already love that song. I love Mitch as a songwriter. His songs are so good. I actually need to look up. He wrote another song that he sang at the concert that made me cry. But when he was doing the opening act for Garth Brooks, he was walking the length of the stage, and he was looking people in the eye while he was singing to them, which is another thing that it just makes the entertainer feel like a connection to the people. And he did that. He looked me in my eye like 3 or 4 times and smiled. And he was very clearly interacting with me while singing. And I was crying while he was singing. Because it's the song, and I don't remember, but it was something that I related to Mr. Cinnamon. I will have to look that up. Check out Mitch. I will link him, his Instagram and all that. His songs are really, really good. If you like country music, you're going to love him. His songs are along the same line of Garth Brooks songs, where they tell a story. They tell a story, and that's why I like Garth Brooks songs, is because and Garth Brooks doesn't do music videos traditionally because he wants the song to tell the story in your imagination, and he feels like videos ruin the idea of what you see in your head when you hear something. And I think that's what Mitch's songs do as well, is they play a story for you that you see in your head, and visualize the characters. It's like taking a book and making it into a movie, and it ruins the book for you because it's not the same. It's not how you envisioned it, Same idea with music videos. But yeah, it was an amazing night. I had such a good time. And even today, the concert was Saturday. I'm recording this Monday morning. My whole body hurts. It hurts. Because through most of the concert, I had to keep sitting down because I just felt like I was going to be sick. And so I would sit down and I would lean forward and I would drink water or my soda. And I would sip on it and I would sit for a few minutes, and then I would be able to be standing up again. And then my back started to spasm out so bad. I have arthritis in my back, and sometimes my back is worse than others. Like, I cannot sleep on any other bed other than my memory mattress because they hurt. My whole body hurts sleeping on regular mattresses, which is why we have the memory foam mattress. But also having ingested gluten somewhere, all of my joints swell up when I get glutened. It's not just a stomach issue. Like, my hands swell up, all of my joints swell up and hurt so much. And so all of that was happening during the concert. So I was like, okay, if Garth, at his older age than me, and he is not a skinny man either. He is a chunk. He is gorgeous, but he's a chunk. I don't mind it. I like chunky men. I'm just gonna say I don't want no skinny boys. That's why I'm with Mr. Cinnamon. I like them thick. I like them chunky. Anyway. Garth is older than me by almost 20 years. Well, not quite 20 years. If he could be up there performing his heart out, and he was jumping and acting crazy, I can fight through the concert in pain and sick. And that's what I did. And it was an amazing time. And then after the concert, I was hurting so bad. My back was hurting. My stomach was still hurting. We had to walk 10 blocks back because there were no Ubers available at this moment. Because 40,000 people just got released into the streets. And there were guys on the rickshaws or the tuk-tuks. You know, the bikes that pull the carts. There was a bunch of those in the streets. They were charging $40 per person. $40 per person. And I was like, okay, first of all, we'd have to get 2 of those guys because me and Mr. Cinnamon are not fitting in one of those little tuk-tuk things. It's not gonna happen. And I wouldn't do that to a person anyway. Like that's a lot of weight to pull. Like I'm the size of 2 people. Mr. Cinnamon's the size of 2 people. I would have to be in 2 of those. And so that was not even an option. That was not something I was even considering. So we had to walk the 10 blocks back. And I just had my flip-flops on because like I cannot stand. I don't wear dress shoes anyway, but I can't stand at a concert for 3 hours in any kind of fancy shoes. I had my flip-flops on. So we had to walk the 10 blocks back to the hotel. I had to keep stopping. My back was like spasming so hard. My stomach was having problems. I had to pee really bad. I know that's TMI, too much information, but like it was a lot of reasons I had to keep stopping. And so it took us a good half an hour, 45 minutes to just get back to the hotel room. And Mr. Cinnamon got us some Dr. Peppers to drink before we went to bed because we really needed the sugar. Having danced for 3 hours, I was like, I need some sugar so that I don't wake up with a stomach ache. But it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And then we drove home and I slept half the drive because I was exhausted because I still was in pain and I was still sick to my stomach, so I didn't sleep after the concert. And I drank Dr. Pepper before bed, which was another reason I didn't sleep. I was up all night. I was up every half an hour, 45 minutes, physically up out of bed, in the bathroom, walking around, trying to get the pain to go out of my back, trying to make my legs stop hurting, trying to get my arms were hurting real bad for some reason. And I'm like, why are my arms hurting? But it was because I had ingested gluten, so like joints. This arm in particular, I told you guys his shoulder's been bothering me. I had to sleep with a heating pad on last night. I am so exhausted and every part of my body hurts, and it was so worth every second of that concert. It was so amazing. Now, I'm going to shut up because, oh my God, I've been talking forever. I didn't make this video so much for you guys. I made this video so that I can come back and watch it, or my kids can watch it in the future. And just, this is very much a journal entry for me. So if you've stayed in this long, thank you for listening to me talk. Maybe you've learned a little bit more about me. Good, bad, or indifferent. Tomorrow we'll be right back to crochet and yarn. I finally got the rest of my Joann's. Well, actually, I got the rest of my Joann's order, which I didn't show yet. And then I got my second Joann's order, which is what I just showed you. I have made some really cool stuff. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Monday makes will be on Wednesday. Will be Wednesday. What you made Wednesday. Thursday, I don't know if I'm going to do PL this week because I'm really tired. I will have something up for you. And so, yeah. Tomorrow, I think tomorrow's Wednesday. We're going to do Wednesday. What have you made Wednesdays? Thursday and Friday will probably be yarn, I think. I haven't gotten that far planned yet. We're just going to play it by ear. I'm tired. I'm really, really tired. And plus, like I said, my niece has started her new job today. So, yeah, I'm going to be driving her back and forth. She's working downtown, so I got to drive downtown and then turn around and go pick her back up from downtown because she never got her driver's license this summer like she was supposed to. It's a whole thing. But yeah, she's the lead teacher for her class, and I'm so proud of her, but she's so nervous and when she gets nervous and anxiety, she gets kind of like cranky and mean. And so I'm just, trying to deal with that. So this week is going to be kind of crazy, and next week she's going to be doing the class too. She's doing lead teacher for a summer STEM program, so it's only a 2-week thing, and then the kids are all going back to school on the week of my birthday. So little man's birthday is August 8th, my wedding anniversary, and my birthday is August 9th. My niece goes back to college on my birthday, so we'll be driving on my birthday anniversary, our birthday-versary, if you will. And then I think my Juju starts her senior year, and little man starts 3rd grade, I think on the 10th. I'm not positive about that, but I think that's the day they go back to school. I know it's that week. So we got a busy couple of weeks coming up. I got to buy school clothes and school supplies and college supplies, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. So, a little man got a guitar. I don't know if you can hear him strumming on it. Juju has an electric guitar. She's trying to learn to play. She's been trying to learn how to play for well over a year. She has a red electric guitar. Little man has been trying to go in and steal her guitar. She doesn't want him touching the guitar because he, twists the thing and messes up the chords and all that. And so she's really mad when he goes in there. And when my sister was here, when Paprika was here, she was like, he won't leave my guitar alone. And because my sister was using their room, that door usually stays locked to keep her brother out of her room. And so he kept going in there and messing with the guitar. And I want a guitar. And I was like, put it on your birthday list. So my sister, while she was here, ordered him a guitar, which came while we were in Charlotte. So he's got his own little red guitar. It's just a kid's guitar. And I will pop up a picture of little man right here. I brought him home that Garth Brooks hat, and he's playing on his guitar, and I was like, oh my god, that is the cutest thing I've ever seen. I have teased both of my children because they both have blue eyes, and me and Mr. Cinnamon do not have blue eyes. It's an inherited thing. There are a lot of people in my family that have blue eyes, but I have hazel, and Mr. Cinnamon has red-brown eyes. And I have teased both of my children through the years that Garth Brooks is their real daddy. And that's where they get their blue eyes from. So watching my little boy with Garth Brooks hat on playing the guitar was like the sweetest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And no, there's no chance that Garth Brooks is their real daddy. I'm just going to say that in case somewhere in the future I'm dead and they're like, oh, I heard that Garth is... No, I've never met Garth Brooks in real life. I would die. I don't want to meet him in real life because like he says, everyone says this, don't meet your idols, you'll be disappointed. I don't ever want to meet him and him possibly say something that could offend me or would offend me, or him just be human and not be as excited to see me as I am to see him. That's why when a lot of you guys were like, oh my god, I would love to meet you, and I tell Mr. Cinnamon all the time, I was like, if they met me in real life, they probably would not think I'm that great. They would be disappointed because, loud, opinionated. I'm not as opinionated as I used to be, but I don't have a filter, and I don't sugarcoat anything, and a lot of people take me the wrong way because I don't have a filter and I don't sugarcoat, and I'm very honest and blunt with my opinions. And so yeah, I think a lot of people, they want to meet me, they think they want to be my best friend, and I'm like, you might not want to. You might not want to. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. Thank you for listening if you've listened this long. Yeah, Garth Brooks. I had an amazing weekend. I'm so tired. And I'm glad you guys are all here listening to me ramble. If you love Garth Brooks, just tell me your favorite Garth Brooks song. If you don't like Garth Brooks, that's okay. I forgive you. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.